The O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 15 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in the Unresolved Problem segment tonight. At this point, the Republican convention, which will be held in Cleveland in July, is expected to be a brawl if Donald Trump does not come in with 1,237 delegates that he needs to win the nomination outright. With us, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. You know the system as well as anyone. So let's assume that Mr. Trump is not going to get to 1,237. He comes in 100, 200 light. That could, if he sweeps California, he could do it.
Right.
All right. But he's now going to win, I think, on Tuesday in New York. You would agree, right?
Sure.
Okay. So we don't know if he's going to get above 50%. Kasich seems to be on a little momentum here, so it might hold him down below 50. But then he's probably going to win Pennsylvania. But, you know, it gets to be dicey when he goes out west. So he rolls into town. Cruz rolls into town. Kasich rolls into Cleveland. What happens?
Well, I think if it's at 100, Trump probably gets there. If he's down 200, so if he's at 1,037,
right,
I think he has a very hard time getting there.
And the reason for that is what?
There won't be enough delegates available to him. I mean, unless he can cut a deal with Kasich or a deal with Rubio, there's just not a big enough block of delegates.
So he doesn't have enough delegates, and then it goes to individual voting after a couple of rounds, right? And the establishment clearly doesn't want Donald Trump to run. Do you still agree with that?
Oh, totally. Yeah. The problem they've got is they don't want Cruz either.
Yeah, they're not psyched up on Cruz.
And I don't see how you get past the two of them, because my hunch is, I could be wrong, my hunch is if you really said to Cruz, we can beat Trump, but we're going to bring in this brand new outsider.
Yeah,
Cruz
I don't
would
think
go,
that's feasible.
I think he'd be for Trump. And
yeah, I don't think that's
the same
feasible.
thing with Trump. So you're going to get one of those two guys.
It's either Cruz or Trump. And then they're calculating, okay, if we lose to the Democrats, we don't want to lose the Senate and the House, right? So who's going to do lesser damage? Is that the calculation that's being made?
I think for some people that's the calculation. And you got the reality that Trump both has a bigger upside and a bigger downside. So he's a real gamble. Whereas Cruz is more, you can sort of measure what Cruz's position will be and where his strengths and weaknesses are. You see it partly in these primaries. I mean,
do you see Cruz as a Barry Goldwater type candidate, a very, very ardent conservative who's not going to be able to persuade others?
I don't know. Cruz is much, much smarter, better educated, more capable as a debater than Goldwater was. And I loved Barry, and I was part of his movement. But I think we don't know how Cruz would do it, but we do know that Cruz in many ways is kind of a traditional politician. He's a hard right in some ways. He's a constitutional conservative. He's willing to fight in the Senate, but he's sort of a politician. We also know that Trump is this phenomenon that is pretty hard to understand.
But he's topped out around 40% of the Republican electorate, and is unfavorable.
45 in the latest poll.
45 in the latest poll. And his unfavorables are very high. So you said it is a gamble. When are you going to go to the convention, by the way? Are you going to be there?
I'm sure I'll be there.
Okay, you'll be there. No matter what happens, it'll be charged as a dirty dealing, right? Behind the scenes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So this is going to be
nasty.
1952 was really nasty between Taft and Eisenhower. 1976 was really tough between Reagan and Ford.
Right.
And the Goldwater convention was really nasty because even though Goldwater had the votes, the people who were opposed to him hated him.
Yep.
Hated him, I think, more than the people who disliked Trump.
I've seen Trump take it down this week. Have you seen him take it down?
He was brilliant at the New York Republican Party.
He was like a comedy routine. He was talking about building a skating rink and all of that.
And he was being positive. There was no more of this lion stuff.
So maybe he's now made the turn.
Well, I think he's figured out that he's gotten as far as he's going to go as an insurgent, hard-nosed guy.
Right.
Now he's got to add able to govern, able to be stable.
He's got to be charming.
Yeah.
And I think that he needs to watch me every night. Mr. Speaker, thanks very much.